3 persons died in a tragic accident at a quarantine checkpoint in Maramag, Bukidnon. 2 barangay health workers and a barangay kagawad died as a 10-wheeler truck rammed the checkpoint 10:45 last night. The victims were identified as barangay health workers Jomalyn Buhayon and Margie Maribao and barangay kagawad Aldren Gaitera. It was believed that the truck driver, identified as Jemuel Gumanon, 24 years old, a resident of Kimanait, Pangantukan in Bukidnon, was under the influence of alcohol when the accident happened. He is now under police custody.
The province of Negros Occidental is also implementing strict border checkpoints to prevent the spread of the coronavirus disease 2019. In Bacolod City, no ID, no entry policy is in effect. Adrian Prietos of GMA Regional TV 1 Western Visayas will give us more updates.
Yes, Caitlin, Bacolod City, Negros Occidental has been placed under general community quarantine last March 15. The early closures of our establishments here, strict border control operations in many parts of Bacolod City and in Negros Occidental, and curfew for all residents and not just for minors are now in place amid the COVID-19 scare. All 4 border control points in Bacolod City is implementing the no ID, no entry policy, limiting and prohibiting non-residents and workers from entering the city. Employees who work in Bacolod and residents who work outside the city are required to present an ID and a certificate of employment. Health workers, persons providing basic needs, and delivery personnel are also required to present identification. Tatay Fernando, who failed to bring an ID card coming from his son's home in neighboring Talisay City, was prohibited from entering Bacolod despite being a resident. Additional personnel and thermal scanners have been dispatched to the border checkpoints. This after heavy traffic and poor management of social distancing was encountered during the first day of implementation.
Ang purpose ng imo community quarantine nga ma-prevent po movements ng tao kung hindi maglapta kag magwa ang ang virus. Now karon ko nang hindi taga Bacolod pasudlon ta di useless na.
Border checkpoints were also set up in the different towns of Negros Occidental. In Hinubaan, thermal scanning and social distancing are strictly observed. Some residents were also given sanitation kits. Policemen in southern part of the province are also on full alert in securing borders. 15 persons from Antique were intercepted in Kawayan, Negros Occidental Tuesday morning for violating the border restrictions. The Philippine Coast Guard was conducting a shore patrol when they apprehended the motor bangka carrying 7 adults and 8 minors. The said passengers are residents of Kawayan but were stranded in Antique, so they entered a motor bangka to cross the sea.
Cabancalan City, next dira is Oriental na, Mabinay. So, tanan nga na taga Mabinay, ginapabalik gina naton. Vehicles, tao, pabalikon. And tanan nga taga Cabancalan, ginapasulod naton provided they have their identification IDs.
The passengers were turned over to Kawayan officials and have been quarantined at the town's health center. Fast craft trips plying the Iloilo-Bacolod route have also been suspended since Monday. Only Ro-Ro vessels carrying cargo are allowed. The entire Negros Oriental has been placed under state of calamity. With this, the local government unit can now access the Quick Response Fund to fight COVID-19. The declaration was made after a Tayasan councillor tested positive of the coronavirus and eventually died. To prevent the spread of the virus, the LGU of Negros Oriental ordered the closure of the borders for air, sea, and land travels, but residents of Negros Oriental can still get inside provided that they be placed under a 14-day quarantine. According to Bimbo Miraflor, the province's spokesperson, Siquijor is exempted from the border closure. This is because Dumaguete is the only source of Siquijor for their daily needs. Adding to that report, Caitlin, in Negros Occidental, the governor has called on local chief executives to make sure that food supply and basic needs here in the side of the country are delivered day in and day out. There are more than 8,000 persons under monitoring or PUMs in the province of Negros Occidental. That is why alone, mayors are advised to implement curfew hours and issue executive orders when needed or necessary. Back to you, Kate.
Thank you, Adrian Prietos of GMA Regional TV 1 Western Visayas.